And we are back. Pull day. Sticking to the same format. Again, not got loads of time. It's 8:25. I start work at 10:30. So I need to lift, get home, get ready, then go to work. Gonna be looking very similar to one of my last pull sessions. However, it's going to be a little bit less weight this time. We are on the bank holiday Monday and I'm definitely feeling a little bit more tired than I usually would be. So we are going to adjust the session accordingly. Reasonably caffeinated, reasonably carved up for a cut. Not feeling too lethargic. However, I definitely should be cautious going into these lifts because I do not want to hurt myself here. The focus of this session is just going to be try and make it as good of a back session as we can. We'll play around and see how the session goes. Although I felt lethargic in this lift, everything went exactly to plan. I touched down the weight a little bit and didn't go for my usual top set for RDLs, which would be 220. This time around I went for 200 and got exactly the amount of reps that I was after with the exact level of strain, I guess you'd call it, I was after. I wanted the sets to be hard still and the weight to be heavy, but not at the sacrifice of form and good performance. That felt way better than I was expecting. Okay, gonna drop the weight down a little bit, get to 180, and then yeah, we'll see how we feel after that set. Maybe I want to do one more here. Typically I'd be doing 2 sets, but yeah, I did end up doing an extra set here because these felt so good. And I'm glad I dropped the weight down because it gave me the capacity to do that extra set. And that extra set was just so I could match the level of effort and exertion that I typically would be doing with a heavier weight on the bar. I still want to train super hard, and that might just look like a little bit more volume in order to chase that same intensity that I would be getting with a heavier weight on the bar. I know for a fact if I had 220 on the bar, it would not be moving anywhere near as smoothly, and I wouldn't be having anywhere near as good of a time through the reps. And that honestly would just put me in danger because, one, the form was no longer standardized and I'm not doing or performing it the way I would like to, and making sure the muscles that I would like to be hit or intend to hit are not being hit. So instead of putting my back in danger or doing something and tweaking something, I'm just gonna slowly back off the weight and just exert myself in a different way. The time for experimentation is slowly coming to a close because I think I'm honing in on what my training style and what I'm going to be doing in the gym in order to put as much muscle on as possible is going to look like. It's a heavily nuanced and highly personal thing, training to grow muscle on your frame specifically, and I've taken heavy inspiration from people like Jordan Peters and TNF and a few other people I follow on Instagram and watch on YouTube, and the general consensus is that what the old school guys did is the stuff that works. And yes, you can have a more scientific approach to things and you should be highly educated on the things that you're going to be employing in your training because it is very personal, but at the core of your training should be this want and drive to train super hard and push yourself as much as you can and not be scared of fatigue. And of course I will shield myself slightly from it because I would like to live a healthier life outside of this place, which is the gym, but I'm not going to be living in fear of it anymore. I'm just going to push myself as hard as I can, even through this cup and especially in my next gaining phase. There will be variations in things and exercises and techniques whilst I inevitably develop and evolve my training style, but it's going to have intensity at its core. My style is going to be something which is consistently pushing me or challenging me, other than when I'm in a deload week, of course.
Yeah, here we go. That's it. Again.
This is an exercise which I've not done in a very long time, and it was always because I just never really had a good connection with it. But I had a conversation with a couple of guys the other day about this exercise and asked them how they were doing it because they had really, really big backs. And I was just trying to pick their brains and see what pieces I was missing because I remember watching a couple of YouTube videos and listening to a couple of people before on the internet about how to perform this exercise properly, and I feel like I just never could do it properly. Thankfully, the guys in my gym gave me a tip or two, and now I can say I like this exercise again. I think I'll pepper it in from time to time, but I think I need to focus on my other back compound lifts first and then sprinkle this one in from time to time. Do I think it's going to be the key that's going to blow my back up? Absolutely not. But it is going to be another tool which I can use when others aren't serving me so well, or when I just simply get tired of other exercises, just to have some variation in my program. Because it can get stale very, very quickly training with particular exercises day in, day out, and doing them twice, 3 times a week sometimes. And it definitely does affect motivation, the thing that you're doing in the gym, because sometimes it can get a little bit monotonous and a little bit repetitive. So, refreshing what you're doing in the gym from time to time, with even just one exercise from session to session, can really, really help change your approach and your psychology going into a lift. Anyway, after those pullovers, I did some chest supported dumbbell rows, and like I said in one of my last videos, these are so much better than the chest supported matrix rows that I do or have done in the past. I don't know why. I just don't get a good enough connection with that machine anymore. I used to. Something clicked overnight and boom. I just don't like the machine anymore. Like I said before, I don't typically just use the bench. I use my brown brick on top to be able to wrap my chest around the bench a little bit more, just so I can get that deep stretch at the bottom of the movement. And I'll typically start off very, very heavy with a 46 or 45 kilo dumbbell and then go into slightly more reps in my second set just to make sure I'm really recruiting as much muscle as I can. And both approaches work. A lower reps range coupled with a higher rep range can work for every muscle in the body. Following those rows, I thought to myself, I hadn't done hammer curls in a little while, so why not throw them in, and really enjoyed the set. I made sure to sit down as well to make sure I took out as much cheating as possible and rocking and wobbling, because unfortunately torsion and your core being the place of instability is just a integral part to this exercise. But it is a classic. It has built massive arms in the past and it will build massive arms in the future, and hopefully amongst those arms are mine. I ended up doing a few sets here, maybe 3 in total, and that's purely because I was just enjoying it and really liking the movement in the exercise. It was just a bit different from what I typically would do with the curls I would be sat on the lat machine for, with the added benefit of having to not walk the dumbbells halfway across the gym just so I could do this exercise. But on the point of doing this exercise for an extra couple of reps, like I did for my first exercise, it's not a bad idea to go off plan and add an extra set or 2 in once in a while, especially in a session that you want to have fun in, because that's the entire reason you go to the gym. You want to go there and enjoy yourself and do something that you enjoy doing, or maybe you're just one of the people that just wants to reap the benefits of it later. Fine, so be it. But whatever can make it more enjoyable is definitely going to make you do this thing for longer and more consistently. So, if you can adequately adapt your session or appropriately adapt your session to make sure you're rested correctly or you're fueled up properly before the session, add in or do exercises that which are a little bit different, but more or less hit the targeted muscle the way you'd like it to be hit. Don't get me wrong, I use my logbook and sometimes I write my workouts to the last detail an hour or 2 before I actually go work out. But sometimes I go in there and just want to do stuff on the fly. There's a general scheme or framework which I like to use for my workouts, which is slowly nestled into my mind now, given this research and development phase is going pretty well. But I will sometimes even go off that and make up a workout which is completely backwards or doesn't have the same feel, but it's still a workout, you know? It's just fun at the end of the day. I'm not a professional bodybuilder. Hopefully one day maybe, but it's this thing is recreational. And unless you've got strictly written out plans and roadmaps and goals, you can just go into the gym and mess around a little bit and see what you like. But if you're somebody who's watching a YouTube video like this about bodybuilding, you probably have a more strict idea of what you want out of the sport. So there is that, but there's still value in being able to play around a little bit and mess around with your sessions. Anyway, I finished my session off with some machine preacher curls and, of course, standard procedure. Took them all the way to failure, or one rep in reserve, maybe, I think, for one set. And I've really enjoyed the session. Like I said, it was smooth sailing from start to finish. I actually threw in an extra set for a couple of exercises, and I really tried my hardest with it. It's going to be more of the same going forward. Just hard work, consistency, and really intense workouts. The cut is going really well. I'm enjoying it. The food's not too low yet. The cardio is probably going to get brought up a little bit next week, and hopefully we just see more and more fat get stripped off the frame. I imagine it's probably going to go on for another 5 weeks, but at the rate at which I'm losing weight, I don't think it has to go that much longer, to be honest with you. Who knows? We'll see how I respond, and we'll see how peeled I get. For now, I'll leave you with this set, and I'll say see you next time. Oof.